Take a look at this schematic. If you have studied natural language processing at any point in the last several years, you immediately recognize the original 2017 Vaswani transformer block. It is the mathematical foundation of modern AI. If you open up a state-of-the-art production language model today, you will not find this exact setup. Engineers have systematically stripped out the post-layer norms, the standard ReLU activations, the absolute positional embeddings, and the standard multi-head attention mechanisms. Large language model design is a brutal compromise, trading mathematical elegance for the raw requirements of the production environment. Every piece of the modern stack is engineered to survive three rigid, unforgiving realities: the need for expressive capacity to learn complex patterns, the physical limits of hardware memory, and the constant threat of mathematical instability during training. To understand how these models actually work, we are going to tear down the original vanilla transformer and reconstruct the modern consensus language model stack layer by layer. By the time we finish, you will see exactly how we adapt pure algorithms into the empirical, hardware-bound systems driving AI today. We start with normalization. The original architecture placed a layer norm at the end of each computational block. At a small scale, this is perfectly fine. But watch what happens as the network scales up. During the backward pass, the gradient signal hits these post-norm operations repeatedly. The signal degrades, making deep networks incredibly difficult to train. This forced engineers to adopt a very simple architectural rule: keep your residual stream clean. By moving the normalization outside the main path, specifically placing it before the attention and feed-forward computations, the residual stream becomes an unbroken highway. Gradients can propagate straight from the top to the bottom of the network without hitting a mathematical speed bump. With the placement fixed, we have to address the specific type of normalization being used. And to do that, we have to talk about arithmetic intensity. Arithmetic intensity measures the ratio of floating-point math operations to the physical movement of data into your GPU's memory. To keep a multi-million-dollar GPU cluster running, you need the processor multiplying massive matrices, not waiting around for tiny bits of memory to load. Here is the problem with standard layer norm. It requires the hardware to calculate and subtract a mean, and then add a bias term. In this hardware schematic, you can see the matrix core idling while the slow memory bus works to fetch these tiny isolated parameters. It slows down the entire system. The modern consensus solution is RMS norm. As you can see in the equation, we physically delete the mean subtraction and the bias addition. We only keep the root mean square scaling. Stripping out those biases removes the memory bottleneck entirely. Empirical testing consistently shows that dropping these terms causes zero measurable loss in the model's expressive power. It is a massive, free hardware optimization. Moving deeper into the block, we reach the feed-forward network. The original model pushed data through a simple ReLU activation function. That design has now been almost universally abandoned. Instead, the industry relies on gated linear units, most commonly SWIGLU. Notice how the internal architecture rewires itself here. We swap the single matrix pathway for a dual path mechanism. The input is multiplied by two separate matrices, one of which is passed through an activation function before they are multiplied together. This gating mechanism provides a noticeable bump in performance. But there is a catch. Adding that third matrix directly bloats your parameter count and increases the computational load. To compensate, engineers apply a strict parameter matching heuristic. If you adopt a SWIGLU architecture, you scale down the internal dimension of the feed-forward network by exactly 2/3. This shrinks the footprint back down, keeping the total parameter count identical to a baseline model while preserving the performance gains of the gate. These micro-adjustments scale up to dictate the macro structure of the entire model. The dimensions of these matrices define the network's width, while the number of blocks defines its depth. The ratio between the two is known as the aspect ratio. If you graph the architecture of nearly every major model built in the last 2 years, they cluster around a specific aspect ratio. The model dimension divided by the number of layers sits dependably near 100. This ratio exists entirely to satisfy distribution hardware. If you build a model that is excessively deep, you are forced to slice it across multiple GPUs in sequence, a process called pipeline parallelism, which is notorious for creating idle compute delays. A wider model can be sliced vertically using tensor parallelism, keeping every GPU running simultaneously. The only parameter that has grown disproportionately is the vocabulary size. Early monolingual models ran fine on 30,000 tokens. Today's models need to process vast amounts of multilingual text and multimodal data, pushing the baseline tokenizer to handle anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 discrete elements. Theoretical machine learning offers an infinite design space, but the limits of silicon and memory bandwidth funnel the entire industry into a tight, highly predictable band of default hyperparameters. Even with optimized dimensions, the core computation still relies on attention, and attention operates entirely on inner dot products. It is completely blind to word order. The original transformer solved this by injecting absolute sine and cosine waves directly into the input embeddings. But this hard-coded absolute positional data introduces messy cross-terms during calculation, muddying the mathematical signal. The modern consensus solves this using rotary positional embeddings, or ROPE. Instead of adding arbitrary numbers to an embedding, ROPE applies a geometric trick. It takes a high-dimensional word vector and slices it into two-dimensional pairs. Each of these 2D chunks is then physically rotated. The exact angle of the rotation is determined by the word's absolute position in the sequence. Because inner dot products are invariant to rotation, taking the dot product of two rotated vectors naturally calculates the relative distance between them. It completely eliminates absolute cross-terms, providing pure relative positioning. But an elegant positional geometry means nothing if the training run crashes. And the single greatest point of failure in modern architecture is the softmax function. Softmax requires you to compute an exponential function and then divide it by an exponential normalizer. If those inputs drift slightly out of scale, the normalizer can blow up to infinity or crash towards zero. That generates massive gradient spikes that immediately ruin multi-million-dollar training runs. To prevent the output softmax from blowing up, engineers apply the z-loss trick. Looking at the exact log probability equation, they add a squared log penalty term directly targeting the normalizer, z. This heavily penalizes the model if the normalizer drifts away from zero, acting as an algorithmic tether. The attention softmax requires a different intervention. To stabilize it, we insert layer norms directly into the query and key pathways. By normalizing the vectors right before they are multiplied, you guarantee the inputs to the softmax function will always hover near a scale of 1. If the model is exceptionally volatile, engineers take an extreme step called logit soft capping. They apply a hard tan boundary to the logits, physically capping the numbers so the attention mechanism can never mathematically express a signal beyond a specific, predetermined limit. It intentionally degrades the model's theoretical purity, but at immense scale, researchers happily trade mathematical elegance for hard-coded training survival. Everything we have discussed so far ensures a model learns effectively, but once the model is trained, the objective flips entirely. The architecture must now serve millions of user prompts with low latency. Language generation faces an unavoidable autoregressive penalty. To write a sentence, the model computes probabilities, generates a single word, feeds that exact sequence back into itself, and repeats the entire calculation for the next word. Recomputing the relationships for every single word in the past sequence requires an impossible amount of processing. The solution is the KV cache. It explicitly saves all the previous key and value matrices in memory, meaning the model only has to compute the attention for the single new token being generated. The KV cache saves massive amounts of math, but it creates a brutal memory bottleneck. As the cache matrix grows with every new word, the arithmetic intensity gauge plummets. Your fast GPU cores end up sitting completely idle, waiting for the massive saved cache matrices to be pulled into memory for a single calculation. To solve this, researchers introduced an extreme structural fix called multi-query attention. Instead of maintaining separate keys and values for every single attention head, MQA forces every query head to route to a single identical key and value head. By drastically shrinking the size of the saved matrices, MQA essentially solves the memory bandwidth problem. The cost is a drop in the model's ability to express complex relationships. The modern consensus has settled on grouped query attention. By dividing that single KV head into a few distinct groups, you maintain enough diversity to match the performance of a full attention model while keeping the cache footprint small enough to serve efficiently. For models handling massive context windows like full books or code bases, engineers push this even further. They apply sliding window attention, alternating deep global attention layers with shallow, localized windows to parse huge documents without freezing the hardware. Generating language at scale is ultimately a memory fetch problem. Architectural features like grouped query attention exist for the sole purpose of keeping the hardware properly fed. Zooming out, we see the complete modern LLM block. Data flows down an unbroken residual highway. Normalization happens early, stripped of biases. Activations cast through tight swig-loo gates. Attention navigates geometry via rope, stabilized by caps, and cleanly grouped to prevent inference choke points. Each node in this block represents a specific lesson learned in the pursuit of scale. The modern stack is the collective scar tissue of an industry that has finally learned how to tame hardware physics and prevent training explosions. Thanks for joining me to explore the rigid engineering driving modern AI. If you want to bridge the gap between abstract theory and writing the actual code to deploy these models, head over to the Learn by Doing with Stephen YouTube channel for step-by-step implementation. And to keep up with the structural trends continuing to shape the industry, subscribe to the Stephen Data Talk podcast on YouTube Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen.